Welcome back to Live With. I'm your esteemed roughneck host, Dave Palumbo, and tonight's guest of the evening is IFBB Pro and the owner of the new allamericanroughneck.com website, Seth Ferocious Feroce. Like that, huh?
What's happening, guys?
What the hell happened to you?
I ran away. I disappeared.
You did. 4 years you're gone, and now you're back. You got a big bushy beard. You lost that little baby face, and now you're like a tough as nails guy. You're like Branch Warren now.
I feel like an American badass, not gonna lie.
Where did this all-American roughneck image, before we get to talk about what happened to you, where did this all-American roughneck image come from?
I grew up in a blue-collar town. That's still where I live today. And, it's something that, I grew up in my old man's shop. I was 12 years old when I first started working for him. And then once I kind of moved away to college, got a job as a safety professional. That's the degree I have, safety sciences, and then got into bodybuilding. I kind of lost track of everything I grew up doing, hunting, fishing, shooting guns, and just kind of causing havoc in, the small podunk town that we're in here. But, and then once I ran away from bodybuilding or just up and left, I came back and I was like, I tried finding a job in the safety industry, and there was really nothing that was in the Pittsburgh area. It was all traveling jobs, and I was like, I'm not fucking traveling. It's just not going to happen. I traveled so much with bodybuilding. It screwed up my home life, and I was like, I got to do something here. And at the end of the day, I was like, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to build retaining walls. I'm going to dig drains. I'm going to do lawn maintenance. I'm going to do anything to just make money. And fortunate enough, like I had a big truck, trailer, equipment, and said, I'm just going to start working like I grew up doing. And from there, I just fell in love with it again. I was, the one thing, the first wall I built was in 2014. And I remember it was a 450 block wall. And after I got done, my hands were just ruined. They were bleeding every day building the wall. And I remember coming home, came home. My wife was cooking dinner. I came home, drank a beer, and I was like, I just got done. I just finished up a big job, have a big paycheck in my hand. I get to drink a beer, and my wife's making dinner. My life is pretty fucking good. It was like that sense of pride that I came across, and I just fell in love with working again.
Do you missed the simplicity of your life, pretty much, is what you're telling me. Is that true? I mean, you missed the simplicity of just, everyday, life. Let's change paces for a minute. Seth Feroce, I've known him for many years. Back in 2009.
Hold on.
All right, he's holding me
Hold on. You back?
He's in his truck office there. He's got a very sophisticated recording system there.
The boss just pulled in, and my phone hooked up to her. It's synced up to the nice truck we own.
There you go. Well, most only real true roughnecks, American roughnecks, would do a live interview from their truck. So how much better can it get than that? Did you miss
much better?
Did you miss the simplicity of life, the way it was prior to bodybuilding?
That's pretty much what it was. I just missed the down home good feeling of just doing hard work and coming home and making an honest buck. Because at the end of the time, like I left everything because I just wasn't having fun. I remember you helping me out there at the end in 2013 doing some stuff. And it was like, it was still good and I still felt good. But at the end of the day, I just wasn't feeling it anymore. Like everything was crumbling on me. It really was, home life. My wife and I weren't getting along. It sucked. And I said, I can go make this kind of money doing anything in life. As long as I put the same effort I put into bodybuilding, I'll make it and be just fine.
Let's take a step back for a minute, because you're not just anyone else. You're a bodybuilding prodigy. I mean, you won the NPC Pittsburgh light heavyweight overall. You went to the Nationals right after in 2009. You won the light heavyweight class. You got your pro card. You waited 1 year. You went and did your pro debut, and you won that. I mean, this that's not normal. That's Phil Heath, statistics. You were riding very, very high. You achieved a very high level of success in bodybuilding, which I mean, and I can, as an analyst in this field, can say that you have above average, superb, dare I say, talent in this industry. Not many people with your talent pool would abandon bodybuilding the way they did and just leave. What happened?
No, you're right. I appreciate everything you said. That's really nice. It was a really good time when it happened, but it's one of those things that I always told myself. I had the goals that I set for myself of being a pro bodybuilder at a young age. It was like I wanted my dreams from the time I was a teenager to become a reality. And then I did, but I think the one along the way, I started losing myself because I started to let the industry kind of mold me. I started to let like my not my moral values weren't completely lost, but rather than stick to my guns on everything, I kind of just fell into the rut just like everybody else does. Fell into the rut of not selling out, but to a certain extent selling out. And there's times whenever it just didn't feel right. And then things went wrong, once things went wrong for me, I personally wasn't prepared to handle those things. And like so many people in the industry do, we start pointing the finger at everyone else rather than point the finger at ourselves and say, nah, you kind of fucked up there, bud. That's on you. It's not on anybody else. Accept the responsibility and move on. And whenever I screwed up in Toronto, things didn't go the way we did when we tried to jump to the open. And then Hani and I ran away from Hani after that show and went and did Sarasota. And everybody knows that was a nightmare. I wasn't really accepting the responsibility at the time for those fuck ups. And I think it was because it was uncharted territory for me in something that I had so much quick success and I loved so much, and I just didn't know how to handle it. And that's really where it began to kind of take down and spiral out of control on me.
After you won that Pittsburgh, everyone was all over you like dog shit. I mean, everyone wanted a piece of you in terms of, I want to take credit for Seth Feroce's talent. I know Hani jumped on that bandwagon and worked with you for the Nationals. You win there, and then for that Europa Super Show in Dallas when you had it, I think it was the 202 class back then. How was that like? I mean, that was a whirlwind for you. Obviously, I remember interviewing you after those wins, and you were like almost like unbelievable that you actually, like, I don't think you even thought you deserved to even be there because it happened so easily and so quickly for you. But people don't realize behind the scenes, you suffered a lot. You were putting your life on the line essentially at those shows.
Yeah, it's one of those things as a young guy, as a young amateur, you really don't have enough information, so you just do things and go with it because you love it so much and you're willing to do whatever it takes to get to that point. And let's face it, this is professional bodybuilding, everybody. There's no fucking easy way to do anything. You're going to push the boundaries on every single thing you do. End of story. That's the way this goes. So, what was it? At Nationals, that was the first kind of brush with terror that I've ever had. Uh, after the show was over, we'll get to that. Whenever I did prejudging, everybody has these misconceptions that everybody takes all this gear, everybody takes all this stuff. And to be honest, I think I just responded really well to everything that I did. Hani put a protocol together for me that we really worked well on, and it wasn't anything out of control. And I remember for the prejudging, I took a half a diazide, and it worked. And I mean, anybody that's ever competed or knows anything, that's not really that much. Then for the night show, we decided, let's get a little bit drier. Let's start pushing a little bit harder and see what we can look like and really blow people the fuck away. Yeah, let's do it. We did it, but at the same time, getting ready for the show, I dropped my sodium and dropped my water out significantly so that I could dry out and look wild. Well, being what I am, I really didn't know how to rehydrate properly or really keep an eye on myself because this is uncharted territory for me. So after the night show's over, I, took the light heavyweight class. I'm a fucking professional bodybuilder. It's wonderful. I start rehydrating. Honey's like, do it slowly. Make sure that you make sure you have a good mix between water and Gatorade for fresh, replenish your electrolytes, all this. And I'm like, okay. So then I go get some good food in me. Well, anybody that knows, diazides work on sodium and water. Whenever you reintroduce sodium and water back into the body, they start functioning that much better. That it actually kicks in. And later on that night, it really set in. And at that point, I was like, oh, great. I'll look great for the photo shoot in the morning for MD. I was like, great. This is awesome. So I get to the photo shoot, and all of a sudden, my body completely shits the bed. Completely breaks the fuck down. I start sweating profusely. I start puking. I start shitting my pants. It is off the wall. And at that point, I'm in the bathroom. Robbie Duran's there, Purbinell's there, my family's there. Everybody came to the show, and I'm in the bathroom, butt naked, puking on the floor, and it's a mess. And Robbie Duran comes in the bathroom, and he's like, holy shit, this is not good. At that point,
holy mackerel. You all right?
That's it. There it is. Nice. So at that point, they're shoving water in my mouth, they're shoving Gatorade in my mouth, and I'm just not coming back to it really. And they put my clothes on, throw me in a truck, and take me to the hospital. And when I get to the hospital, the whole time everybody's shoving fluids into me. And I'm really not clicking back yet. I vaguely remember it. And then once I got to the hospital, they put me on the bed. And then I remember they were throwing a catheter in me. And that's whenever I came to.
It's not fun getting something shoved up your pee-pee,
Yeah, that'll wake you up a little bit. And after that, everybody at the hospital is freaking out thinking I'm jaundicing because of my skin from the protan and shit. So, but after that, about 8 hours later, I was released from the hospital. Everything's fine. Everything looked good. They rehydrated me, and I walked away. And that's the story that, this is the second time I've said this story public in the past week. Nobody's ever heard that one. And the thing is after the show, after that all happened, I was like, okay, what do we do? And then Hani finally found out, and he's like, holy shit, man. What in the hell happened, And it was just the fact that I wasn't prepared for it, nor really was anybody at that point. And there was no real way to prevent it other than to just continue rehydrating yourself as something like that happened. But I was excited for the photo shoot. I wanted to look great, all that shit. So.
Didn't it happen again, though, after the Europa win?
After the Europa win, it went a whole lot better, but then I ended up... Hani kept a closer eye on me after the Europa win, but at that point, I also went back to the hospital to get a whole bunch of blood work done because it's one of those things whenever your kidneys are hurting, you need to make sure that you go get them checked out.
Right. Seth, give me an idea. How much diazide were you taking? Diuretic, for that nationals. You said you took a lot. What was a lot?
No, I didn't take a lot. I took a half for prejudging, and I took one for the night show. That's it.
So you're a hyper responder.
Yeah, it was the first time I've ever taken anything like it. I don't know if it was just, with Hani, whenever we would do the prep, he was always like, Seth, we want to make sure that we leave as little room for error as possible, so that if something does go wrong, we have room with your conditioning. And that was something that we also really toyed with the line of anybody that saw me at those shows, I was fucking peeled. There's no other definition.
Absolutely were. Nationals perfect. The pro win ridiculous. What happens after that? How do you go from being so finely tuned, everything firing on all cylinders, even with this little bit of dehydration mishaps after, to not knowing what to do anymore? What happened? There had to be a disconnect somewhere with something or someone.
Yeah, it was Hani and I. We did the 2012 Toronto show, and it was my call to go to the Opens. And I remember the conversation that he and I had. At 202. It just was too much. I wasn't making it. It was something. Even the struggle for the Europa show was tough. It was tough getting
12 class. Then that was the problem.
And then in 2011, they decide to come out with the 212s to start out and this and that. And I'm like, well, I just jumped to the open. I just put in all this effort. And then Hani's like, Seth, it really doesn't matter. You should make sure that you concentrate on just looking as good as you possibly can. And I said, I see my career in the future as an open class competitor, so let's go for it. And he said, that's fine. It's your career. It's your decision. It's you make the decisions for yourself. And that was what we ultimately did. And then things just didn't go right at Toronto because I should have been in better shape. I think that over that period of time from that 2010 win to 2012, I began to kind of come up with my own ideas. And rather than stick to the plan perfectly with him, I started to conjure up my own concepts on training and different things with dieting. And I could have did a better job of getting in better shape. And at the end of the day, it's not that I can blame him for anything because it ultimately is my decision what I do with my training, with my diet, with my protocols and everything. And, a lot of people, you Google me, all you see is Seth Feroce kidney. and or Hani killed or Seth Feroce Hani. And at that time, it's like, whenever that happened, I was pretty pissed off because things didn't go well in Toronto. And I felt like everybody loved me when I was winning. But once I lost, everybody really wanted to kind of stay back a little bit because they didn't know how things were going to go.
Everyone, people love to ride the gravy train when people are doing well, and when they're not, they don't want to know you. Yeah. What's his name? Seth Feroce? What? Yeah, I know how it goes. That's the case with everyone. But the question is, Seth, did you suddenly, after that win, that pro win, did you become complacent? Did you say, you know what, this is pretty easy. I'm winning. I won my pro card right off the bat. I won my pro show. Did you let up a little on the intensity?
I believe so. I won't lie. I think I was at that time, I was 26, 27.
Very young, yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that me personally, like then, if you would ask me that fucking question, I'd have told you no. Absolutely not. I trained my fucking balls off for the show, but whenever I was there to prove something on that level of making a name for myself, I definitely put things in a different perspective. And I can say that now because looking back upon it, it was something that it's just something that I know it. I know that's how I feel about it. It just is what it is. There's no getting around it.
Now you mentioned, Seth, a lot of travel you were going on, and it putting a strain on your relationship with your wife. What happened? Whenever people make a very serious move or change in their life, it's usually because something not good happened. What happened in your life at that time that just caused the crash?
My wife and I were at each other's throats, and to the point that we were no longer going to be together. You know, uh, because of the industry and the way I was. I didn't. I was always respectful of my wife, but at the same time, I didn't do a good enough job of giving her the respect that she deserved, and especially how I was such a selfish person, and I began to become completely self-absorbed and absorbed by the industry, rather than really say, this woman does so much for me. I need to pay more attention. I said, she doesn't pay enough attention to the success I'm having. So what the fuck am I doing with her? And I think that whenever things started to go a little haywire after Toronto, and then I remember I was laying in bed after I lost the show. I'm laying in bed the night after that night of the show, and she's laying in the bed next to me with our daughter Adeline. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, what in the fuck am I doing? How is it possible that the woman sleeping over there is still with me after all the shit that I just continue to put her through? And at that point, I was just like, I got to do a better job of everything. And then after that, we go home, and I attempted to become a better person, but I was still invested in myself and becoming a better competitor because I went on to do Sarasota. And then that whole time training for Sarasota, we had our ups and downs, but the downs definitely outweighed the ups.
That's
So
tough. That's a tough situation. We've all, if anyone who's competed knows that it's a very selfish lifestyle. It's hard when you're consumed with what you're doing to really give your significant other the attention that they need. Because you forget about that. You kind of get self-absorbed yourself. Seth, what would you say to people who call you a quitter? A lot of people have had bad ups and downs. Look at Dexter Jackson. People wrote him off Branch Warren, and they came back better than ever. What do you say to people who say, oh, you know what? He won all these shows, and now he's just a sore loser because he didn't do well that one year?
I'd say they're right. I'd say there's right. There's no way of getting around it. There's no way of lying about it. I mean, I stepped away. You could say that I quit. You could say whatever you want and conjure up however you want to look at it. But at the end of the day, I left specifically to become a better person for the people that actually loved me. Like we all have this misconception that the industry loves us. It really doesn't. It's something that we have such a strong passion for that we're so attracted to that we never want to leave it alone. But the people that are in your life, the significant others, your children, your parents, your friends, the people that see you every day at the gym, those people are genuinely concerned about you. Those people genuinely actually care about you. And I started to not care about them. I started to become so self-absorbed that their opinions no longer mattered. And that's whenever I was like, yeah, no. All my sponsors look at me as a number, but my family looks at me as the rock. I'm the person that they depend upon. And why in the fuck would I do something whenever everything is going so wrong? Why would I do it when everything is going so wrong? It didn't make sense to me. Everything started to come full circle. And I said, I need to take the time to become a better dad, to become a much better husband, to become a better friend, to become more reliable for the people that actually love me.
Seth, how much money did you walk away from? Because you had a sponsor, you had Muscular Development Magazine. What were you making a year at your heyday there?
I was making altogether, I was probably making about 10 grand a month.
That's a lot of money to walk away from.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me.
Now,
but it's with some months, I'd make more than others. Sorry about that. With some months I'd make more than others, but to make 10 grand a month, that's 120 grand a year. Bodybuilding is an expensive sport. That money was, going for food, going for travel, going for whatever have you. But at the end of the day, it's still a lot of money. And I knew that if I actually would put the same effort into whatever I was going to go on to, I could make that same money, make similar money, or do whatever I could to make sure ends would meet for the benefit of the family.
Hard to go from the guy whose biggest dilemma was, is he going to eat first or go to the gym first, to the guy who's got to get up early in the morning, make, food, have his scrambled eggs and bacon or whatever you eat and toast in the morning, and then go to work and bust your fucking ass all day long. And then if you want to go to the gym afterwards, you can go to the gym later.
Yep. That is my life to date right now. And the sick part of it is I love it. That's the part that I think I lost connection with. And that's what I really appreciate now is the fact that, I do wake up in the morning. I drink the coffee the way I want it. I have the breakfast I want. And it just so happens now with this kind of comeback, I fell back in love with lifting weights. And it's I look at it and I'm like, sometimes I think, boy, if I didn't have to go work 10 hours today, I could get this accomplished. But then I'm like, yeah, but then I just still wouldn't have the same moral value. I still wouldn't have the same outlook on life because right now I work 10, 12 hours a day. On a good day, it's 8 hours. And then after that, I go pick up my kids from school. I pick up the kids from the daycare, come home, and then get everything ready, take my daughter to gymnastics. And then I go to the gym between either 5 and 10 o'clock at night. Some nights I don't get to the gym until 11 o'clock at night and then wake back up at 5 o'clock the next morning and go get ready to do some shit. It's a nonstop lifestyle, but at the same time, what I have right now is really, it's something I've always wanted to do.
Do you see yourself getting back on stage?
Yeah, at some point. Not not anytime soon. Just because I think that I took off a year and a half of training. I didn't train for about a year and a half. I lifted weights here and there, but at the same time, like I said, I was growing my own landscape company. I was working sun up to sundown, doing you name it, I was doing it. And then after that, I was like, that's hard labor. It was still fun outside. I was sweating my ass off all day. And then now with what I do now, I'm the operations manager for a safety consulting firm. It's a pretty demanding position. So if things lead in that direction at some point, which I believe they will, but I'm not going to do a show because I'm pressured. That's the one thing that I think ruined me the most was I don't do well with authoritative figures. I don't do well with somebody telling me what I should do. Um, and that's why, my boss right now and we work so well together because it's like, he just says, Seth, this is the job you got to go do the job for me. And I won't ask any questions or bust your balls. I'm like, fucking A, man, thanks. And he's the same way as I am. And that's why I think we get along with it because everyone else waits for somebody to, tell them what to do or give them instructions. And whenever I started getting instructions to go do a 212 show and this is what you should do, I felt the pressure and I just didn't like it and it really turned me off. So the show that I decide to do or whenever my name shows up on a roster, you're going to know that I genuinely want to go do that show. And if I'm going to put myself through the agony of what we do, that sick love that we have for this sport, expect to see something pretty fucking good.
Seth, that's a great attitude to have. And everyone out there is probably like, yeah, he's right. But let's face it, if you want to be the best in anything, at some point, you're not going to be the underdog. At some point, you're going to be the favorite. The pressure is going to be there. It just comes with the territory. I'm sure when Phil Heath defends his Olympia every year, he's got a tremendous amount of pressure. I'm sure it's not comfortable. But if you want to be the best, that's what you have to do. Are you willing to go there again to endure that? Because you really never had to. Things came pretty easy to you. Stuff went bad. You kind of bailed out. Now, with a more mature attitude, do you feel that if the pressure does build, that you can handle it and you could, I guess you could say, fulfill your destiny because you obviously still have just barely begun to tap your potential?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, getting back to Phil real quick, it's a lot of people bust his balls, and any you're Mr. Olympia, you're gonna get your balls busted. It's just inevitable. People are gonna say anything they can to bring you down because, let's face it, he is literally the best bodybuilder in the world. Like I've never been the best at something in the entire world. Very few people ever get to say that. So that mentality, you really don't know how someone handles that. You don't know how somebody thinks or acts or how would I act if I was literally the number one person in the world at this. I really don't know. You know, it's kind of one of those things that you just ride it out. And if you have a fuck up, everybody's going to criticize the ever loving shit out of you. But with me, um, you know, uh, I just love this shit so much. I couldn't stay away from it forever. And getting back up on stage or doing something again, whenever I do it, it's something that I do feel like to some degree I do have something to prove because there's little bits of shit talk, but it was only because nobody knew the real story. Because let's face it, I got up, walked away, and at that time, whenever I did walk away, I really had no plans of coming back. I really didn't.
I think that the sport misses your talent. I think that you would compete very well today with the guys that are up there, even though the talent pool has improved quite a bit. Do you see yourself doing the open division, or would you do this 212 division if you did get up on stage?
I mean, like I said, the front of me looks pretty good. My legs are coming back. My back still has a lot of developing to do. That's always been my problem body part. And right now I sit about 230 pounds. I'm training pretty hard. I think that it's something that I want to take it to the next level here. I'm, putting a program together where I want to, put on another 5, 10, 15 pounds maybe and see what happens, or just progress as I go and see how it goes over. I think we're going to do something like 8 weeks and just see what happens. Cause I want to get to another level, but at the same time, for my height and what I look like and the guys that I would like to compete with, the 212s are pretty fucking nasty. Looking at Flex Lewis, I have a tremendous amount of respect for that guy because, again, he's the best at what he does at that division. There's no one better. Hands down, you're not beating that fucking guy. You're just not. And let's face it, if I go to the open class, I compete against some really large fellas, and I would really need to take the time to get to another level to compete with them. That's something, I can't lie to myself about and say, I'm going to get to 250 in the next 6 months. No, that's really not what my focus is. My focus is just becoming looking better for my own self and actually developing and looking like I want to look, not like what somebody else wants me to look like. And I look at Flex Lewis and say, that's somebody that I would love to compete against. And that's just the honest truth inside of me. Do I want to be there? Is there that side of me that says, yeah, I want to be a monster? Fuck yeah. And then I look at Justin Compton and I'm like, oh no.
Let's talk about All-American Roughneck for a minute. This is something that you developed, a line of apparel that you can relate to. It's something that you grew up with, like you said. What kind of stuff can people buy on this website?
We got a couple T-shirts. We got a thermal. Then right now I'm doing a button-down work shirt. The work shirts, I wear button-down work shirts for work every day, whether it be a mechanic shirt, short sleeve, or long sleeve, or flannels. We got a couple hats on there. I'm wearing the one right now. There's a beanie that I probably got 35 fucking messages for that I wasn't able to find an American-made beanie. It's just at a decent price. So, but right now we're working on that because I got so many questions about it. But yeah, it's going to be a developing thing because I look around and I said, I wanted to make a brand that meant something whenever you see someone else wearing it. It's not just a brand. It's not just a T-shirt you buy. It's an attitude. Because I've met so many people along the way. I've sat in business meetings with all these owners of construction companies, oil and gas companies, production companies, manufacturing companies, and these guys are pretty badass dudes. They built a company or taken a company over from their father or their grandfather, a third, fourth generation, and they take pride in what they do, just like I do and just like so many people do, like you do with what you do. It's something that we all have a sense of pride, and that's why we work so hard for. And whenever I see someone else wearing my shirt, or I see somebody with it on, or you're wearing a shirt, or somebody else is wearing a shirt and you haven't, it should be like they know exactly what it stands for. They know somewhat of a type of person you are, and that's really what I wanted to create, and that's what I'm pushing to create now because, bodybuilding and this might only last so long in life. And I've really realized one thing, and I enjoy speaking. I enjoy talking with people, and that's really where this is all heading because I believe right now in the industry, there's a whole lot of nonsense on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and kind of irritates me. I really don't like it because there's a lot of young kids out there. Myself, when I was 18 years old, 19 years old, when I'm like, yeah, I want to be a pro bodybuilder. I'm going to start taking some serious gear. I want to start taking it. I want to see what happens. You watch some of the shit online today. Jesus God, what the fuck are people doing? And that's kind of where I was like, okay, somebody needs to have the balls to stand up and say that you guys are giving some really shitty advice. That's okay for you to do. And to think that you actually think that's right is out of control. I don't know how in the fuck this happened. It's been I've been gone for 3 years and now it's a whole entire different industry. Everything's set up differently. And you have people that have followings that are just ungodly and they're spitting absolute nonsense. So
it's every day, every single day. I talk to people about, the responsible way of doing things, the effective way, but responsible way. People think I'm like a pussy, like what I'm telling people to do. Meanwhile, they don't understand that I'm giving them the right advice, that there's these lunatics out there that are just that have no success in anything they do, and they're giving ridiculous advice, and the sensationalism of what they're doing is garnishing them this following. And let's face it, it's not about who's the best bodybuilder anymore as far as making money. It's about who's got the biggest following on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, and it's unfortunate. And it is a different business from when you left. So you really have to find your own niche here, and you really can't depend on other people to be paying you anymore. You got to pay for yourself. Unfortunately, there are people, like you said, doing irresponsible things out there. Now, one question about the clothing. The clothing line is all American. That means everything's made in the USA?
That's what we're working on, yes. The T-shirts, the thermal, the work shirts that I have, I want everything to be affordable, and I want everything to be as American-made as possible. And what I really found out in doing this, that's really hard to do. Affordable and American-made clothing don't work well together. So the work shirts, we're going to go with Dickies or Carhartt. We're working with a couple vendors right now, and to think that Dickies and Carhartt aren't American-made kind of pissed me off, that they don't even have a line specifically for American-made. But it kind of is what it is. I don't think anybody wants to pay $65 for a button-down short-sleeve shirt. And then the hats, we're using flex fit hats right now, again, just simply because it's something that everybody, I like it. It's more affordable. They're comfortable. But there will be things moving forward that I'm working towards it. Let's put it that way. Everything that we do, I work with Isolator Fitness. You know, they have
Got to get Dave Volner to make it for you over there in his factory.
Yeah, he does it all.
He'll sew it himself.
Yeah, that's what he does. He would sew it himself. Yeah, he's got people for that shit now. But yeah, everything's done in-house. With everything like this, I really want to say supporting the U.S. economy, supporting your local community is like one of the most important things. You know, I buy as much local shit as possible simply because it's the most important thing to do. It's what supports your local community. That's how you can make a difference.
Seth, final question. If there's one thing that you would want your public, the people, the fans, the followers out there to know about Seth Feroce, here's your opportunity. Tell them something about who Seth Feroce really is.
I'm just your fucking neighbor. I'm the same guy that you'd come over and drink a bottle of beer with. I'm the same guy that you'd come over and borrow some sugar off of, or sit and bullshit for a night whenever, you know, the kids come over and play in the yard. That's what I've always been, and that's really what I pride myself on being. And that's why this whole all-American roughneck thing is going to come full circle with everything, because it's not just me, it's everyone. It's you. Everybody's got that roughneck side in them. I mean, you put somebody on a quad or a side-by-side with an AR, you're going to have a good time.
All right, I lied. This is the last question. Who's got the better beard, you or Jason Ha?
I don't know, man. He's pretty special. That's been the whole talk, is everybody saying, you know, I look so much like Jason Ha, and this is like a mini, or he's a white Jason Ha, you racist fuckers. No, but you know, Jason has had a huge influence on me in my life. You know, in 2014, he's really helped me get me back on my feet with how to do my nutrition, my protocol, everything, given the fact that he's a very knowledgeable individual, and he's always fed everybody the same information that he fed me. You know, he tells everybody, this is, you know, eat like this, or, you know, train like this. And I really adopted a lot of his principles and then started putting my own spin on things. And I'm walking proof that if you kind of listen to what somebody says or listen to what he's doing and things like that, you can really, you can be like him. So
you think Jason will ever get back on stage? He's another one who just disappeared, you know?
You know, I don't think he has any desire to do it. Jason he's one of those guys that, I mean, if you hang out with him for a day, after you're done hanging out with him for a day, you feel like being a better person. You just feel better about yourself. You feel better about what you can accomplish. You have a sense of positivity that just comes over you, and you're like, I think I could take over the fucking world if I wanted to. And that's really the thing that he instilled in me, was to just get back into the gym and be positive. Get back to just being a positive person and giving a positive vibe off of people, giving a positive vibe to people, because negativity is something that people will eat you alive with. And I'm living proof that negativity fucked my day up.
I'm glad you're back in positivity because it's good to see you back in the industry, and I have a feeling we're going to definitely see you back on stage at some point. I'm predicting this year, even though you're not going to make any statements about that. And I always liked you. I like the fact that you're a straight shooter. You're honest. You're honest about who you are. And I think the industry needs more people like you, and hopefully you'll continue to stay in our industry and make a positive effort and a positive influence on some of the people out there and some of the young kids coming up who look up to you.
Yeah, I thank you again. That it means a lot coming from me. It's something that sorry about this light. This shit. I don't know what it looks like. Oh, look at that.
Tough neck. Don't worry about it.
What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? Turned off on me. But anyway, if I went inside right now into my house, there would be absolute fucking mayhem, and this interview wouldn't be happening very well with the kid. But just moving forward with everything, it's something I'm really excited about. Everything. I almost got at a loss of words right now, but it's the light thing fucked me all up here.
That's all that's important. You're back. You're back in the bodybuilding industry. We're going to see you back on stage. I know you're working with Prime and Blackstone now, nutrition. So best of luck in all your business adventures. And maybe you'll send me one of those roughneck T-shirts, and I'll sport it on one of my TV shows to help you promote it.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. It's really good to be back, and being back with Aaron and PJ. Tremendous guys, and I'm really thankful for everything that we're going to be doing together. So, I mean, the going on with everything, on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, everybody expect to see something a little bit different. If you're all butt sore from me saying some shit today, you're going to be really upset with me after some of the videos I put out. But at the same time, understand that everything that I'm going to say is the truth. It's not going to be a load of bullshit. With everything that I take, the supplements I take, the diet I do, the protocol, everything, and how I talk about things will be the truth. I'm not running from it this time. And if you don't like what I have to say, then sorry.
Stay over here at RX Muscle. The truth hurts. And that takes us to the end of another episode of Live With. I'm Dave Palumbo. We'll see you next time.